The Opium War film that was viewed was based on the events of the First Opium War that occurred in the late 18th century between Great Britain and China, which was under the control of the Qing dynasty. The events portrayed in the film were to a high degree historically accurate. It depicts the ban of opium in Canton, the expulsion of the British merchants and traders, the use of a blockade, which then resulted in the British to deploy their naval forces. This ultimately led to the defeat of China and the signing of the Treaty of Nanking. The Treaty of Nanking resulted in trade being established in 5 ports, being Shanghai, Canton, Ningpo, Fozhou, and Amoy, and that Hong Kong was ceded to Britain. With all literary works, in order to understand the message of the film, we must first consider the context in which the film was made and the purpose of such a film. It was released on the 1st of July 1997, the day that Hong Kong was returned to China from the British. There are clear political intentions of the film to illustrate how the British effectively poisoned China, not only with their opium, but also their ideologies of free trade and a globalized world. The film constantly refers to China as a celestial empire and attributes all its failings on allowing foreign ideas and individuals to penetrate their great land. It was because of this that ultimately led to the demise of the Qing dynasty and the suppression of China through further treaties. This theme of foreign ideals penetrating China fit into what had already been coined the victimization narrative of contemporary China. They refer to the First Opium War as the start of the century of humiliation. This victimization serves as a cautionary tale about past experiences and how China should be weary of engaging in international affairs. This portrayal that they were taken advantage of and forced into signing treaties further degraded the state, not only on an international level, but also the citizens of China viewed a dynasty that had succumbed to foreign power. Initially, it would appear that the film fit into a victimization narrative. However, when you consider when and why it was released, a different conclusion, in my opinion, could be drawn. We must consider the actions of the Chinese Communist Party at the time, as they are the ones who have authorized the production of the film and its messages contained within. With the Tiananmen Square incident in the late 1980s, there was a pro-democracy movement, and China was experiencing what has been classed as an identity crisis. Communism internationally had collapsed, which promoted the CCP to start to implement new forms of propaganda to instill communist ideologies within China to remove the civil unrest that had been growing. Great Britain had ceded Hong Kong back to China, which could be viewed as one of the last steps of China winning its independence from foreign invaders. The film illustrates the loss of Hong Kong, but the timing of the film being released on that day should not be understated. It is a demonstration of the CCP to the people that they are not the weak state depicted in the film, but rather they are a new superpower emerging that is expelling the foreign invaders from the land. The CCP has reinvented this narrative to move away from the view that China was a weak and penetrated state by foreigners, but rather that they are a powerful nation and will expel these ideals from the state. I've chosen a companion reading not on the Opium War, but an article that illustrates the shift of the CCP to a victor narrative through the use of propaganda, which is what the purpose of this film is. The article considers the influence that red tourism has had on China to instill nationalistic ideologies in Chinese citizens. Red tourism is, in simple terms, the use of state-promoted tours to revolutionary memorial sites such as museum, memorial halls, and monuments, commemorating significant and heroic revolutionary figures and victorious events related to the Red Army, the People's Liberation Army, and the history of the Chinese Communist Party. Red tourism is used to legitimize the leadership of the CCP and to reinforce and enhance Chinese national identity. The companion reading actually changed my initial view of the film. After the viewing, it was clear that it was not a victimization of the events of the Opium War, but after further research regarding the context of which it was released and also understanding the political motivations of the CCP in the early 90s, my view of the film drastically shifted. This is further evident in the revisions of history. In specifically, General Cao is no longer the devil who suppressed the Taiping Rebellion, but rather a national hero for expelling foreign invaders, demonstrating the power of China. In conclusion, the film The Opium War is just another tool used by the CCP to reinforce and enhance Chinese national identity. The shift away from a victimization narrative is clearly reflected in the film, as the political, motivational, and contextual events, the return of Hong Kong, and the CCP's new propaganda to instill nationalist, communist ideals to citizens are strong themes evident within the film.